Excellent. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to our weekly webinar about all things HR. For those who have joined us before for our daily live streams, which we've been running in the last 19 weeks, I'm Bron Pearson from Pinnacle People Solutions. Lovely to have you with us again. For those who are new, Pinnacle People Solutions, our company provides human resource services, advice, solutions, support, strategies, you name it, exclusively to regionally based small to medium-sized businesses and not-for-profit organisations. So we are here to help you and your business to adapt and to thrive. You can contact myself or my phenomenal team anytime. You can private message us or put something up in the chat screen as we're going through the webinar. You can email or telephone us, or you can visit us at our website, which is www.pinnaclepeoplesolutions.com.au. So as a continuation of our COVID-19 employer advisories, each Thursday evening at 5:30, we'll be doing a deep dive into a particular HR topic to provide you with information and insights on topics of interest to regionally based business. If you have anything you'd particularly like to hear about, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can subscribe to receive notifications of when we're going live on Facebook by clicking the bell icon in the top right of your screen. This means you'll never miss a HR update or a webinar from us ever again. So feel free to do that. So today we'll be talking about something that's been all over the news in recent times, and that is the issue of businesses underpaying their staff, sometimes by quite large amounts. The businesses affected so far cover a wide range of industries, locations and sizes. So it seemed perfectly timely to reach out to our local most phenomenal bookkeeper and BAS agent, Rachel Fenn at Bird Bookkeeping, to ask her how we can make sure that our staff are being paid correctly and what the common pitfalls are. So I'm delighted this morning to welcome Rachel from Bird Bookkeeping. How are you, Rachel?
I'm really well, thanks, Bron, and honoured to be here. It's amazing to be
Fantastic. We are delighted to have you with us. So Rachel has over a decade of phenomenal industry experience. She has an advanced diploma and a passion for taking the stress out of running a business and enabling business owners to go on doing what they do best. She's worked for years in professional accounting firms before branching out on her own to meet the need for an approachable and friendly bookkeeping and outsourced CFO service that works with businesses and accountants to make sure everyone has the information in the format that they need to move forward. So delighted to have Rachel with us. So Rachel, tell us a bit about yourself first of all, and then we'll branch into Early Bird.
So as you said, I've been most of my working life in public practice accounting firms. I started as a receptionist and worked my way up to an actual tax accountant. When I started having kids, which I've now got 4, I decided I needed something that was a little bit more flexible and kind of was offered an opportunity to do bookkeeping. And I thought, what a great space to be in. I guess, and that kind of leads into the whole business thing. The business was set up because having been a public practice accountant, I knew what accountants needed that they weren't getting. And I thought I can do that, I can give the accountants what they need, and I can still be the person on the ground for small businesses. And it's just been amazing to watch that grow and watch businesses get it right and change and how much of a difference it makes.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, your reputation precedes you. So we're delighted you could join us today. And I guess to talk to us about your thoughts. So what do you think about the news recently with so many organisations having serious payroll errors going back years? Do you think it's a widespread problem in small and medium-sized businesses as well?
I think it's a huge problem everywhere. I think it specifically points out just how complex Australian payroll is. If you've ever tried to read an award, and Bron, I know you have, they are really difficult to work out. And most people without training will get it wrong. I don't think anybody actually sets out to rip staff off. I know there's a lot of people who feel that Coles or whoever it is has gone out of their way to get it wrong. They really haven't. It's just such a complex area. It is incredibly easy to get it wrong. And I tend to think small and medium business are at even more of a risk of getting it wrong than big guys, because generally, certainly the businesses I work with, they don't have somebody in-house who's a specialist at this. And without being a specialist, it's almost impossible sometimes to actually get right.
Well, certainly the kinds of stories that we've heard in the last sort of 12 to 18 months of very big businesses, like the ABC, like Woolworths, like 7-Eleven and others, getting things horribly wrong and misinterpreting their own enterprise agreements and certainly award provisions and so forth. It's not a surprise, and certainly we come across this a lot ourselves in the HR space, that people don't know what they don't know. And so I agree with you. I don't think there's very, very rarely an intention to be not doing the right thing. It's really ignorance, but unfortunately the law doesn't give us a whole pass for ignorance. So we are deemed to be responsible for knowing those things. So Rachel, what makes a good payroll system from your perspective?
It's all about information. You can't run the payroll unless you've got the right information, and that means, oh my God, we need to get more paperwork. And I shudder to tell business owners, it's all about the paperwork. It's about knowing what award your staff are employed under. It's about having access to the current award. It's having all the right data for your employees. And that's, dates of birth, addresses, tax file numbers. If they're on visas, have they got the right visa? Have you done all those kinds of checks? You really can't have good information and good decision making without the right data behind it, and that's all about paperwork.
And of course, we know that businesses all have lawful obligations around their record keeping, and I'm sure I know both of us have seen many instances of fines, spot fines and so forth from the Fair Work Ombudsman when they turn up at your doorstep and say, show me your records, and oops, perhaps I don't have all the records I'm meant to have, in some cases any records. So what information from your perspective do you need to have as a small to medium-sized business owner in the payroll space to make good decisions?
You absolutely must have time records. And this is the one that I see going wrong more often than almost anything else, is people aren't keeping accurate time records. You've got to know when your staff start, you've got to know when they stop, you've got to know when their breaks were and how long those breaks went for. So you've got to have some version of a timesheet, be it an electronic version now through someone like Deputy or an actual manual one, doesn't matter, but you've got to have it. I don't think you can run a business successfully without proper employment contracts, without position descriptions, because they line out who's responsible for what and when and how they're going to be paid for it and the hours they're going to work and all those kinds of things. So for me, it's all about your contracts, your position descriptions, and your timesheets, and we can work almost everything else out from there.
Fantastic. So we've kind of hedged on the edge of the pitfalls. So from your perspective, what are the common pitfalls that you've come across? And by that, I mean things obviously that people often mess up and need fixing.
So point one is, as I already said, it's the timesheets. People don't keep timesheets. You think your staff work 38 hours, that's it, I'm done. You've got to actually have timesheets. Interestingly enough, even for your salaried employees, you must have timesheets. And that's a huge one that gets missed. I think often I've seen people who are paying incorrectly because they're basing their rates of pay on an award that they printed out 3 years ago. Rates of pay go up every year, generally on the 1st of July. You've got to have those current pay rates. Salaries are a huge pitfall. There's a very common perception that if I put somebody on an $80,000 salary, it covers everything. And that's not necessarily always the case. We need to look at that kind of thing. Allowances are often wrong or not paid at all when they are paid. And superannuation is the other big one. It's not paid on time or it's calculated incorrectly. And again, all those things come back to the right records to do it with. So they're the huge areas that we see it go wrong all the time.
Right. Yep. So let's narrow down a little bit further. Are you able to talk to us about some of the disasters that you've seen?
Where do you want me to start?
Yeah, I know.
I keep saying it, and I sound like a broken record. It keeps coming back to the documentation.
Yeah.
Every disaster I've seen would have not happened if the right documentation had been in place. And I will come back and talk about a specific example in a minute. But again, it's about your contracts, because they tell you when you're going to work and what's going to be covered. It's about position descriptions, because a manager can't hold someone responsible for not doing their job if nobody knows what their job actually is. And these things change every year. So you've got to look at your contracts every year. You've got to look at your position description every year, because it changes. And almost every unfair dismissal claim I've ever seen go through has been won or lost on the back of the documentation. You don't have the documentation, the employee by default wins. Every time I've seen an employer come out of those in front, it's because they've had the documents that back up what they're saying. And I guess sort of specific instances for me all come down to salaries.
Right.
There was one case where an employee put a high-level manager on salary, said we'll pay you $80,000 a year, and went happy days, we're done. And for 4 years that salary was never reviewed. At the end of the 4 years, the employee quit and took them to Fair Work for not paying them enough and not paying them fairly. And when it boiled down to it, the employee was actually correct. They'd been expected to do 20 hours plus of overtime a week. $80,000 isn't going to cover it. They'd expected to be on call on their days off, on leave, on that kind of thing. It's not, a salary is not going to cover that unless you specifically calculate for those things. And then there was the whole issue around interrupting leave and what's fair and reasonable, and that all got incredibly messy. And the employer wound up significantly out of pocket for 4 years worth of unpaid overtime and superannuation that should have been paid and wasn't, and leave loading that should have been paid and wasn't. And it got really expensive really fast. It could all have been avoided with just the right paperwork in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. So from your perspective and all of the machinations that you have seen and get to see, what are some of the big effects of inaccuracies in payroll?
I think the first one that springs to mind is obviously you're going to wind up in fair work for getting it wrong. Whether that's an unfair dismissal claim or a claim for underpayment, whatever it is, you've got a really good likelihood of winding up there. Without paperwork, you can't prove your case. That's the first one. Interestingly, staff morale and workplace culture are very high on the list of things that are affected, because generally, if staff don't think they're being paid correctly, they won't come and talk to you about it, but they will talk to their colleagues around the kettle or the water cooler or whatever you want to call it. And that's really hard to get a grip on. You've got to actually go out of your way to get a grip on that once it starts going wrong. And then business inefficiencies and loss of money come fairly high up as well, because unhappy staff don't perform. And they can go out of their way sometimes to make sure the business doesn't do well. So it's a really wide-ranging and significantly impactful thing in your business.
And I think this is something perhaps that business owners, because it's not right in front of their nose, they don't necessarily understand how things connect behind the scenes. So, it could be that payroll issues are, as you say, the tip of the iceberg.
And happy staff are what's presenting your business. Employment staff are the face of your business, because often we, as business owners, we wind up behind the scenes doing other stuff, which is really important. But if the people who are presenting your business don't feel they're being treated right, that image gets out there in some way, shape or form. And that's really key to kind of keeping a grip on the whole thing.
Absolutely. So, Rachel, as an expert in this area and the go-to for a lot of businesses that are, I know, incredibly grateful to have that expertise and support, what are your 3 top tips then for avoiding the kinds of payroll pitfalls that we've talked about?
Can I say it again? Can I? Really? Contracts. You've got to have employment contracts. You've got to look at them every year and make sure they're still accurate and right. You've got to have position descriptions that need to be reviewed at least once a year, but every time somebody's role changes. And I think the final one is you have to know what awards you're employing people under, and you must look at it at a bare minimum, at least, you know, today, the 30th of June or the 1st of July, because pay rises are mandated generally from the 1st of July, and most awards will change at that date. So you have to go through things on that day and make sure.
And in fact, during the COVID situation and with the impacts of JobKeeper, obviously this year's pay increase has been staggered. So that's another change. Even employers who might think, right, okay, 1st of July, they don't see anything on the 1st of July for them and go, oh, good, not needed. But it might be something that rolls out in August or September.
And often different industries will adjust their awards at different times of the year. So you will have your mandated pay rise on 1 July, but the industry itself might review the award and go, no, we need to bump this again in the middle of the year. So you really need to stay on top of your awards.
Absolutely.
The one you printed out 3 years ago, because it's
and that assumes that that business owners are actually aware of what award might cover their staff, if indeed there is one, or whether they're award free. And all of those things are things that that, as you say, directly influence and impact payroll. So for sure. So Rachel, can I ask, what do you love most about your job?
I really love getting payroll right. I am the quintessential bookkeeper who at the end of financial year can reconcile a $2 million payroll to within a couple of dollars and be dancing around the office. That's me. I love when it works. I think the other huge thing is watching business owners' lives change as we get to grips with their finances and start being able to offer really key financial metrics and the relief of knowing that it's all being done right.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why I do what I do. It's about people running business, not so much about business numbers.
Yeah. Fantastic. Look, thank you so much, Rachel, for joining us this evening and being our inaugural webinar interviewee. We are incredibly appreciative of your very valuable time, particularly this time of year, and really grateful. And look, this video, for those who are engaged, will remain on Facebook. It'll be up in LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on our website if you'd like to catch up or watch it again later. We'll also be producing a fact sheet based on the information that that Rachel has provided today, that you'll be able to download from our website shortly. And you can also sign up for a weekly digest of our Thursday webinar, the associated fact sheet and Monday news updates to be delivered to your inbox every Tuesday on our website. So get up on our website and sign up for that. And please join us for our Monday news update at 9:15 a.m. on Facebook Live to catch up on all the important news from the last week, both COVID related and of course general HR and its impacts, particularly on regionally based small to medium businesses and not-for-profit organisations. So our webinar next Thursday will feature our consultant psychologist, Jessica Pearson, who is discussing the psychology of a good workplace, how to set yourself up for productivity and well-being. So please join us again next Thursday at 5:30 for Jessica. In the meantime, we would really love you to hug the people that you can, wave cheerily at those that you yet can't, stay safe, stay socially distant, wash your hands like the best that you possibly can and frequently, and we'll really I'll look forward to seeing you for our weekly Facebook Live update on Monday. And thank you again, Rachel, for your time this evening. We are so grateful, and we look forward to having you on again as I'm sure we're going to have follow-up questions. So, so thanks so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.